Hi everyone, welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fire Play podcast. I am financial planner Canna Campbell. A very quick reminder to make sure that you're following me on Instagram because this is where I provide you with all the immediate swipe up access links to all of my content, whether it be my most recent podcast, YouTube video, or blog post. This is where you can quickly and easily get a hold of my latest content. So please make sure you are following me there. Now, today we're going to talk about financial goals, and I'm really hoping this is going to be a high value podcast with great insights, hacks, and instructions to help you achieve your financial goals with so much more pleasure, determination, and efficiency. So I recommend maybe pausing this podcast for a split second so that you can grab a piece of paper, actually a notepad perhaps, and a pen and make lots of notes as to things and points that I raise that really resonate with you and you think that they really might help you. A couple of weeks ago, I found the quote about goals, and I absolutely loved it because it's exactly what I believe and stand for when it comes to setting financial goals. And it goes like this: if you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hopes. Now, I'd love to claim this quote as my own, but it belongs to Andrew Carnegie. And I have to say, there have been some really dark moments in my life where I've had some really tough challenges. And the simple ingredient of adding a goal to my life has really helped get me through some tough times. It's helped rebuild my sense of confidence, self-worth. It's made me realize how capable I am when I take responsibility and step up for things. And it's, I think, a very essential ingredient for me personally. And of course, everybody is different, but this is food for thought. I'm going to share with you how I set my financial goals. I'm even going to share with you a few of them. And I want to give you the best chance of achieving your own goals. So I really hope to inspire you in this podcast. Now, on this note of goals, I have financial goals for myself as an individual. And then I also have additional separate goals for me and Tom as a team financially. I really believe it's healthy to have something for your own that you work on, your own little mini project, as well as something to work together as a team, as a unit. And I'm going to share with you in the podcast description below 2 great videos around this that are on YouTube that I highly recommend you go and watch. When it comes to overall success, it's not all about money. To me, it's about balance. Balance across a range of movements and vibrations in life. Just like an orchestra. In an orchestra, we have the string, the brass, or percussion. They're all working together at different points with different strengths and weaknesses to ideally create something appeasing to our ears and something that's hopefully enjoyable to listen to, so much so that we want to keep on listening to it over and over again and listen to more and create more types of music and symphonies and harmonies. And this is what I believe is about our lives are about. It's about moving in balance. Moving in balance between our financial well-being, our physical well-being, our health, our intellectual growth and stimulation, and of course, our spiritual and relationship health. These are the 5 pillars that I build my life around and I build my happiness and fulfillment of life around. So just to repeat, there's financial well-being, physical health, which includes our mental health, our intellectual growth and stimulation, which can also include our careers, our spiritual health, which can be, if it's important to you, be tied to a particular religion, but it might be spiritual health from an environmental perspective or from a energetic perspective or from, the general universe. It's completely up to you. It's very personal. And then, of course, there is relationship health, the strength and connection that you have with others and, of course, with yourself. These 5 pillars, I believe, is what gives us overall well-being, happiness, and success. Now, I would love to be able to say I have all 5 pillars perfected, all perfectly in balance, but the truth is I don't, and it's very, very hard to have them all perfectly balanced and in tune with each other at the same time. Just like when we're listening to the orchestra make beautiful music, there are certain elements in the piece where there is dominance by the brass or dominance by the strings. They all work together, and just like I guess the waves of the ocean, sometimes in some countries there's a storm and there's also strong waves, whereas other parts of the ocean, which is still the ocean and still connected, it might be very smooth and calm. This is the way life works. It's never going to always be smooth sailing or perfect. We just need to be able to adjust with the waves, learn to surf those waves, use those calm waves to rebuild our energy. So sometimes we are thriving, for example, at one pillar and dropping the ball on the other. For example, we might be thriving on our fitness goal. We're really strong and we're really flexible and we're, lots of energy and we're smashing, that extra kilometer or bench pressing that extra weight. But then we've, slipped or set back with our financial goals. We may have let that credit card debt creep up, or we maybe have not invested as much as we normally would, or we're not feeling as motivated or connected to our financial goals. But the thing is that I want to raise about these 5 pillars, and this is how it helps me in life, is by having an awareness of the 5 pillars and being in tune with them, we can quickly sense and therefore catch when we're off balance on one of those pillars and make the required adjustments to help restore that balance. Any damage that's done is not too bad. It's easily and quickly fixed and we feel happy again and back on track again and recalibrated. However, today as a financial planner, I'm going to stay firmly in my own lane as a financial planner, not a nutritionist, not a spiritual guru, not a relationship expert or a psychologist. Stay as a financial planner. I want to purely focus today on financial goals. All right, first of all, why should we have a financial goal? Well, quite often when I'm having a general advice consultation with someone, and, I sort of say, what's going on? What's important to you? What can I fix for you or help you with? They complain or they explain that they're concerned that they're drifting through life. They're in the same place, the same position, or sometimes even worse financially than what they were, say, 5 years ago. And quite often, the common denominator with all these people I speak with is that they've never had a financial goal. They've never set something for themselves to make a difference, to make a change, to make a shift or a breakthrough. That is quite often the common denominator. It's not because they're not earning enough money or, they've not saved enough. It's they never just had the goal. It's really, really simple. And this isn't any fault of their own. It's just that they've never been taught or shown how to set a goal and how to set a goal in the right way and how to connect to that goal. How to make sure it's a meaningful goal so that they feel inspired to want to achieve that goal. And of course, when we fail goal after goal after goal, it's like a spiral. It sends us out of control. It makes us feel really bad about ourselves, feel really flat. We feel like failures because, we never got it right in the first place. And this is what I really want to fix and focus on in this podcast. Let's do the groundwork right and set our financial goals up correctly upfront in the right type of way. So even if we don't actually achieve that goal, we know that we came close or we gave it our absolute very best and we still feel inspired and determined to keep going, even if it means slightly adjusting that goal, because that is perfectly normal, that is perfectly natural, and that's actually what I recommend when you don't achieve your goal. You still keep going. You still keep your head up high, keep persevering. Sure, you might have to change your technique or make a few alterations, and that's fine. That's okay. That's what we do. And that's what I do. I don't achieve all of my financial goals. Trust me. I fall short of them. Some I might smash, of course. Some I might even not come close, but I know that I've given each goal a really good go because I've been connected and committed and determined to achieve that goal because I set it up the right way, the correct way. Now, once I have my goals, I write them down on a piece of paper in handwriting. I then transfer them to my phone in the notes section. And I find that handwriting is quite a powerful connection to me. It makes take them from being in my brain to a tangible asset, something I can see and touch in front of me. And then for convenience, it's transferred to my phone, as I said, in the notes section. And I put in my notes section the breakdown, those mini goals, so mini bite-sized achievable goals. And I divide them up over monthly, quarterly, and annual goals. And every single mini goal is positively correlated to my financial goals, which in this case is obviously my mindful money number of $200,000 a year. And obviously simultaneously my goal of helping pay off our mortgage as quickly as possible, ideally less than 2 years. And every day, or at the very least every couple of days, I look at the notes on my phone, I remind myself what I'm working towards, and I track my progress. I see what I need to do, where I'm behind, where I'm ahead of, and as I go through, I tick them off once they've been achieved. Now, this is an important catch. So easily, once you've achieved your goal, particularly if it's before a deadline, you can very easily just quickly replace it. But I'm careful and mindful not to do that. So say, for example, I, invest a certain amount of money before the end of the month. As tempting as it would be to add a new goal in there, I won't. I'll be proud of myself for achieving that goal, and I shift my remaining available resources to trying to achieve the remaining goals that are left on the list as quickly as possible. And I find that I'm not adding to my plate constantly. I'm actually working through my goals, making progress, clearing the decks, really fine-tuning my strategy. And particularly towards the end of the deadline, in the sand of my goals, I can really see what I've achieved, and I can feel good about it. I haven't just kind of overloaded myself and made myself feel stressed and anxious. But the point is, of course, you should write down your goals. You should write down your debt reduction goals, your mindful money number goals. You should break them down into weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual goals, and make sure that they are all positively correlated towards your big dream, your big goal. So when we do this properly and we set a meaningful, exciting goal, a goal that we really want to achieve, it gives us purpose, clarity, direction, and at times peace of mind, particularly when that goal is linked to a big picture goal, a long-term goal, such as an early retirement, or having our dream home, or being debt-free, or being able to know that you are going to enjoy retirement and never ever run out of money. It makes us feel accountable when we have a great goal. It makes us feel responsible. We feel grown up. We feel in control. And even as we get through all the little wins, we realize, wow, actually, I'm pretty powerful. I really can make things happen if I put my head, heart, and mind to it. We realize we can be the people we want to be. And as I said, we celebrate the small wins just as much as we celebrate the big wins. It gives us a sense of confidence, pride, self-confidence, and self-worth. Especially, these are really valuable things for when you're going through a tough time in life and feeling a lot of doubt and fear and anxiety. This stuff, goal setting in the right way, helps crush that feeling of anxiety, stress, and depression. And as I said, even when we fall short and fail, it doesn't really feel like failure because we never really failed. We just learnt more and actually grew more through trying and falling on our feet. It's that saying, it's when the times are tough that we really grow as a person. No one really grows when life is swimmingly perfect. And that's not when we really grow deep down. So coming back to these appointments that I run, as we go through the 40 minutes where we chat, I start to really learn about what is important to that particular person I'm having a chat with. I ask them about what their dreams are. What if I could wave a magic wand, what I want? What's their dream day look like? What's their life like? What worries them? What keeps them up at night? And I start to realize and find out what they're passionate about. And behind the passion is what they truly value. Do they value travel and adventure? Do they value giving back to their community through charity? Do they value connections of family and friends? Do they value health and well-being that gives them energy and vibrancy and clarity? These are things I get to discover about what people truly value. And it's an absolute honor to be a part of this very personal and insightful conversation with people as I help them, I guess, see through the fog and the forest and see exactly what they stand for and what's important to them and what they want to focus to get them through the next, stage of their life and give them the tools and the strategies to work out their own path. So we learn and understand our values when we actually invest time sitting down and exploring what's important to us. And once we have an understanding of our value systems, that is what we use as the anchor to help create meaningful goals and set powerful goals that we want to really go out and give them the best shot of being achieved. And from that, we can then work out the priority of things we need to focus on, the list of things to do, the game plan, so that we can start seeing these shifts and the breakthroughs happen. We are no longer setting those generic society goals that, like, oh, you should go and buy a home, or you should save up this much money, or you should, spend money on this or invest in that. They are, the herd mentality goals, where you feel like the fashionable goals. They're ones that don't really resonate with you on a deep personal level. They don't make you spring out of bed. And I have a podcast about a girl called Jess where I talk about this one in particular, where she just didn't feel like going and buying a home. And it's a classic example of connecting to a financial goal that really resonated her. You know, foregoing what society paints as what you should be doing and buying and having and building, but actually setting something that matched her value system. So I highly recommend going and listening to that particular podcast. When we have the right meaningful goals for us, we start respecting our resources more. We respect our time more, our hard work, our cash flow. We stop taking things for granted. You know, we don't just spend $20 because we, can, or we don't buy that pair of jeans just because we can afford to. We start buying things because we need them or they're going to add value to our lives, not because, oh, look, I can have that, I can afford, I've got enough money. It's very different. We're reminded of the things we need to be more respectful of. We're inspired to add healthier change and to stop holding ourselves back from creating a more harmonious financial future. Sacrifices become well worth it. They're actually not sacrifices anymore. Self-control is so much easier. And we can see upfront any dangerous distractions or temptations before they even come close to derailing us, because we take control and can see it, and we know the changes or the space or the distancing we need to put in our lives to remove those temptations and distractions. We become more mindful of our money. Now, for me, the biggest driving system when it comes to setting my own personal financial goals is actually about time. You see, my financial goals aren't just based on the surface level of being wealthy or rich. It's actually about having the value of time in my life. Time for my family, time for myself, where I get to hang out alone and refill my cup. Time for my health, where I can go for a run or a swim or just, sit on a beach and stare at the ocean. Time to hang out with my girlfriends. Time to travel and explore. Time to give back to charities and causes that are important to me. So my value system is built around time. And what gives me the luxury of time is having financial freedom in my life. You see, if I have my money working for me, paying me enough money to cover my living expenses, I can afford to leave work at 3:30 to be at the school gate. I can afford to go out to dinner with my girlfriends and enjoy that time guilt-free. I can afford to take my family on holidays to a new destination. I can afford to give money and time to charity. So I build my financial goals around the value system of time. Now, if you want to know more about how to understand and explore your value system, there is a whole section in my book, Mindful Money, which I believe is, and there's like lots of questions I get you to ask yourself, and you actually write in the book. So it's the type of book you want to go and buy and hold on to and keep on your bedside table, because you write very personal notes in there. But if I remember correctly, it's pages 17 to page 28. There's a whole pile of sections that, and notes that you can add and questions to help trigger a deeper understanding of where your value systems are. Now, of course, there are lots of other value systems. I talk about the one for me of being time, but there's values such as freedom, flexibility, even luxury for some. But for me, at this point in my life, what I value the most is time. So as you discover what your value system is, it enables you to set different financial goals, more valuable, meaningful goals that will actually excite you. As I said, no longer going with society's prescribed goals of what you should be doing or could be doing or should want to have, or, I've scrapped that. It doesn't work. Build a goal around your value system. Now, once you have built a stronger understanding connection to your values, we can then move on to the actual goals. Now, this is where I work differently. I work backwards. I like to start at the end of the dream, the end of the story of where you want to end up. What is your big picture? And then I like to pave the path or, the journey or the adventure, working back from that big goal to where you are right now. Now, for you to also understand how I'm different maybe from other financial experts and financial planners, the Sugar Mama philosophy is actually not about building a certain gross or net worth figure, but a passive income. You will notice that when I talk about the $1,000 project, I very rarely talk about what the portfolio is worth, but I actually talk about how much passive income that portfolio makes. Passive income is where your money works for you. And by paying you an income stream, that is your money working for you, and that income stream can cover all or part of your living expenses, that is when you start to have real financial freedom and independence. And examples of passive income are, receiving rent from an investment property, dividends from shares, even interest from a savings account. You don't physically do anything to earn that money. You don't go and sit in front of a laptop screen. You don't go and sell essential oils. You don't do multi-level marketing or have to do networking or, something in front of anything physical involves you to get out of bed. It's literally money that you earn whilst you sleep at night. And the more passive income you have, the more freedom you have. So say, for example, you go through your value system and you work out, I am really passionate about travel. I love experiences. I love learning about new cultures. I love discovering new places. That is what floats my boat. That is what drives me. That's what I feel passionate about. And that's what I want more of in my life. So what I would be saying to you is, let's build up a passive income stream that over time is going to pay you $40,000 a year. So no matter what happens in your life, you have this stream of money where you receive $40,000 a year that you can help pay for that annual trip or adventure. And it doesn't rely on you having to work or save up for it when you're experiencing it. Let's work out what we need to be doing today to build that passive income stream. And the thing is, what my philosophy is about, it's about using two-dimensional assets so that income stream never runs out. Say, for example, you might go, okay, well, I'll have 10 years of travel at $40,000 a year. So the FIRE community would go and save $400,000. I'm different. I say, no, let's build up a passive income stream of $40,000 a year so it never runs out. You never eat that capital. 10, 15, 20 years down the track, you're still getting that $40,000 a year in income to help pay for your trips and your travel and your adventure. In fact, even better, let's hope that it's even bigger, because not only has it caught up with inflation and covers tax, but it's even bigger because it's been growing off a two-dimensional asset. And a two-dimensional asset is an asset that grows in value and provides an income. Typically more volatile assets, I will admit, such as property, international shares, and domestic shares. But that is what the Sugar Mama message is. It's not about a lump sum money to save up or build a certain net or gross figure worth. Let's focus our energies on building the income so that it never runs out and never eats into your capital. And even better, exceeds your cost of living and more than exceeds inflation and tax over time. And in Mindful Money, I actually have a whole range of different strategies to actually help you achieve this, but I don't want to talk about too much of that in this particular podcast because we're talking about the actual goals first rather than the actual strategies. I have plenty of other podcasts that talk about the actual strategy as well. So as I said, the Sugar Mama philosophy is about building the passive income. Very different to FIRE, and in my opinion, safer, more reliable, and actually more flexible. All right, so to recap, first of all, you find out your value system and then you work out your big picture goal. We can then start building lots of mini goals and clearing the path from working backwards. So I want you to stop for a split second and ask yourself, what do you value the most? And what is your big picture ultimate goal that you would love to achieve? Now, as I said, I use an example of someone who wants to travel and spend $40,000 on a year traveling. But for some people, it might be something a little bit different. You might go, okay, well, look, I want to make sure that I have, I can retire, work early and work part-time or retire completely. And you might look at your current situation and go, well, how do I build up, as Canna talks about in the book Mindful Money, how do I work out my Mindful Money number? Well, it's actually really easy, and I recommend, don't try and overwhelm yourself or confuse yourself. Just simply start by looking at your current living expenses. How much does it cost for you today to live? And you might look at your living expenses and go, okay, well, I spend about $50,000 a year. I've got rent, I've got my gym membership, my mobile phone, clothing. And I actually want to build a more meaningful, exciting life. I want a better life. So I want to factor in about an extra $20,000 a year, say, for like an annual holiday. So that would mean that if 50,000 plus 20,000 equals 70,000, so 50,000 for living expenses and say $20,000 a year for a holiday, it gives us a figure of $70,000 a year. Now, the one thing that a lot of financial influencers who don't know what they're talking about, they forget about income tax, because we need to factor in income tax on our passive income. So you might allow, say, depending on where you live and the marginal tax rates, you might say, okay, well, let's factor in another $20,000 for income tax. That would mean $70,000 plus $20,000 equals $90,000. That would mean that your mindful money number, that is the passive income that you want to build and create to have that financial freedom in your life built around your value system, would be $90,000 a year. That is your big picture goal. That is your goal. That's something you wake up in the morning and think, I'm building a passive income of $90,000 a year. That is something you think about when you go to bed at night and go, I'm working on building my passive income, my mindful money number of $90,000 a year. Now, what are the next steps? All right, now that we have this big goal, we continue on working backwards. We look at what have we got? What do we need to do? And how do we realistically give this $90,000 goal a good chance of happening? All right. So this is where the Sugar Mama website steps in. I've got amazing calculators on there called the Sweet Spot Dividend Growth Calculator. And this is where you can plug a whole pile of information in there. And you look at your situation and you go, all right, what have I got so far? So you might go, well, I've actually got $5,000 saved up, which I really want to put towards achieving my goal. And you plug that in as, say, an initial investment. And then you look at, your budget and you might go, okay, well, I've got, say, $1,000 to invest. And you can put that into the calculator. Now, just as a guide for the other variables, and you can play around with this calculator. It's just a guide only, and obviously it's projections. But I put in there a dividend growth of 4%. I'll play around with the yields and growth, but you could, for example, put a dividend yield of, say, 3.5% to 4% if you wanted to, and you could put the capital growth, say, between 3.5% to 4% if you wanted to. You can play around with this. And obviously you do a dividend reinvestment strategy, and this is fine for rent. Obviously, you need to include the consideration out of your own individual cash flow, the tax, because as I said, each year we have to pay income tax. But you can play around with this, and you can start to see, well, hang on, if my big picture goal is 90,000, I need to be doing this much per month, or I need to be starting with this much. And even though you might not necessarily achieve that $90,000 figure or whatever your number might be, you can start to see what you need to do and what changes you need to make. And where the position that you're entering in your numbers right now is not where you're going to be in 12 months' time or 6 months' time or 5 years' time. Don't be discouraged and think, well, I can only afford to invest $1,000 at the moment, so it means I'm not going to achieve my goal. That's crap. You might be only able to afford to invest $1,000 at the moment or even less. This is not about this. It's what you can potentially do in the future if you keep doing this. You might be able to, say, invest $200 a month. But guess what? In a year's time, you might be able to invest $400 a month. It gives you something to start with and something to build up with. You start making that shift, making that breakthrough as you start to actually get closer and closer to achieving your goal. And it is so much more important to start today rather than thinking, oh no, I'll just wait until I have $1,000 per month to invest. No, that's crap. Years and years will pass. You won't do it. Trust me. These are the people that book appointments with me. Start with something because you can then build up. It's like saying to yourself, well, I can't lift a 20 kilo weight, so I'm not going to bother going to the gym. No, go and grab a 1 kilo weight or a 2 kilo weight. Get practicing with that. Use it, build up your muscles. And then maybe in 3 months' time, you can go to a 1.5 or 2.5 kilo weight. Build up from there. And you're actually creating a very powerful habit system in place where you can go from strength to strength. And you'll actually be amazed how quickly, especially as you become really connected to those meaningful, exciting goals, that the sacrifices or the new self-control and self-discipline you have in your life to actually start increasing the amount of money that you invest, because you start to question the way you use money and value money and spend money. Just like you might realize that your muscles are getting stronger using the 2 kilo weights or the 3 kilo weights and now ready to upgrade to the 4 or 5 kilo weights. Just simply start working on this, and you never know what blessings might come your way. Now, as I said, we play around with the calculators, we see what we can do right now. And also don't forget to factor in, especially if you're feeling a little bit discouraged, is most people already have an investment portfolio. It's your retirement money. You might be in the US, so it's your 401k plan, I should say, or your Roth plan. If you're in Australia, it's your superannuation plan. That is what you add in as your initial investment. You might have, say, $60,000 in super and $10,000 in cash or shares. There you go. Your initial starting figure is $70,000. If you're in New Zealand, it's your Kiwi Saver. If you're in Europe, it's your pension account. Add all these things because it shows you that you're actually well already on your path to achieving financial independence. And this will hopefully inspire you to go, actually, I'm already on my way. I just need to keep going with this. I need to add more, pay more attention to it, give it more tender, loving care, see where I can make a few changes and sacrifices and additional contributions and start thinking outside of the square and achieve my goals a lot sooner and quicker. because we've set ourselves meaningful, exciting goals that reflect back to our value system. This is where you start to build lots of mini goals. Now, I don't actually believe in having lots of different financial goals. What I believe is in breaking down the big goals into bite-sized, mini, manageable, and achievable goals. And this is what helps, I believe, achieve goals more efficiently. And it allows you to persevere and keep tuning your energy because you're having lots of little wins along the way that ended up in one massive, great, big win. And for me, it's the best use of my time and resources. So I'll focus on my big picture, which is my mindful money number, which I'm actually going to share with you in a second. And then I build lots of mini, manageable, achievable goals, all in alignment to my mindful money number. So that everything I am doing, every sacrifice I'm making, every time I'm pulling extra weight, really working on that goal, it's all towards my big picture goal that I've been working backwards from. And this is the whole principle behind the $1,000 project. I mean, the $1,000 project is a portfolio that yields a passive income of over $7,500 a year. It's 6 years in. And, I have never focused on building a $200,000 share portfolio. I wouldn't even feel inspired to build it because that just feels like an empty number to me. But if the passive income is what really floats my boat, because that reflects my living expenses. That $7,500 a year in passive income, pays for, a family holiday away. That's something that excites me. That $7,500 represents more time in my life for the things that I love and love doing. I want to also talk about clearing the path. As when working with people during these appointments, we work out the value system. We then come up with the mindful money number, which is your big picture goal. And we look at what we've got so far. We've got, superannuation, we've got savings. We might even have a few shares already bubbling along. We work out, okay, well, these are the different things we can start with to get us on a path, maybe $200 a month investing, or borrow even a gearing strategy, which I talk about in Mindful Money when it's done in the right way, can be also very powerful in helping achieve your mindful money number. We're doing all this, and then we need to look at any blocks that are in our way. I call this clearing the path towards our financial goal. And it's an important one because you need to factor in clearing any things that are going to hold you back financially in life. Now, these are things such as credit card debt, student debt. It is not efficient, and I know this is going to be a little bit frustrating hearing this, but it is not efficient to have debt as you're building wealth. You need to clear the decks first and clear the toxic debt in your life. And I'm going to exclude your mortgage just for a second in this conversation, even though a mortgage is technically toxic debt. It's very much like building a house when it comes to building financial wealth. You want to make sure that your home that you're building is a rock solid home, so that if any type of storm comes through, whether it be a firestorm, a tornado, a tsunami, whatever it might be, it is essential, or hurricane, it is essential that your home, no matter what comes through, that house is still standing strong, and any damage that it's done to that house is quickly and easily fixed without too much financial cost to you. Now, the most important thing, as we all know, when it comes to building a strong house, is having a really strong foundation. If you are building your mindful money number, that is your financial wealth creation strategy, on a foundation of sand, if a storm comes through, it is highly likely that your house is going to fall apart. I don't want that to happen. It's a waste of your resources. Do the groundwork first and get rid of any credit card debt, any student debt, any personal loans before you start building your mindful money number. Put a debt repayment plan at the very least in place so that debt is coming off and down as quickly as possible. Sometimes, under very rare circumstances, if someone says to me, look, I've paid off all my credit card debt, I'm debt free, I do have some HECS debt or help debt in place, but I really, really want to start getting investing. It's not my business to tell someone, no, you can't start investing until you pay for your HECS debt. What I would simply say to that person, I don't want them to not make the most of this feeling of being highly connected to a meaningful, exciting, valuable goal. I will say to them, all right, why don't you work on both at the same time? Why don't you put a debt reduction strategy for your HECS debt so that instead of being paid off in 10 years, it's paid off in, say, 5 years. And that will also allow you to continue on investing, continue on saving on a regular basis to add more money to your investment portfolio. Work on both in unison together. I will probably make the exception for something like credit card debt, because that financially just does not make sense at all, especially when credit cards interest rates can be as high as 22%. And you look at your investments and you're earning, say 5 to 10%. You've got to pay tax on that. It doesn't make sense. It's not an efficient way of your money. So clear the path first. And when you clear the path, your path is going to be efficient. You're going to actually achieve and get closer and faster to you're actually going to be able to get to your destination smoother and a lot faster when you clear the path. So try and get rid of that debt, toxic debt in your life as much as possible. Now, quickly tapping back into why I just held back the conversation of a mortgage. There's a very powerful strategy called a debt recycling strategy. And I'm not recommending it to people necessarily, because it's only for certain people who are comfortable doing this type of strategy, understand the risks, but also know how to manage those risks to their financial advantage. There's a way of, and I have lots of videos on this on YouTube. Just type in Sugar Mama debt recycling strategy, or grab a copy of Mindful Money and I share with you this strategy. And this is even a strategy that Tom and I use ourselves to achieve our Mindful Money number. And essentially where you use the equity within your home to increase your gearing as your debt's coming down. And it's a way of still owning your own home and diversifying into other assets. So you own your own home, and you might also own a share portfolio. It's got to be done very, very carefully, very conservatively, and you've got to really know your numbers and run your numbers before you do anything. And of course, you should always get professional upfront financial advice from a qualified and licensed financial planner before you do this. But I do explain in Mindful Money in detail how to do this as well. So coming back to where we're up to. Number 1, invest time discovering what your value system is. Number 2, set a big picture goal. A goal that's connected to your value system that feels meaningful and makes you feel excited, like you want to achieve this. Next thing is to look at what you've got so far. What assets do you have? What cash flow do you have? Then the next step is to clear the path. Anything that's going to hold you back, make you inefficient, or be a drain on your resources, we need to clear the path, which includes credit card debt, personal debt, and certain degree student debt. We need to get them out of our lives. And think about it. Once we've addressed those expenses, we've paid those debts off, that money that we were using to pay off those debts can go towards building our Mindful Money number. All right, so next step up is game plan. How do we make this happen? Well, of course, we need to do a budget. We need to look at our living expenses, what stays, what goes, what can be cut down, and it might only be temporary cutting it down, and what has to be cut out completely. We also look at our side hustles. What extra things can we do to earn some extra money? We start thinking outside of the square. Can we ask for a pay rise? Can we go for a promotion? Maybe we need to even look at a new job. What is the next step in our career path? Are there hobbies that we can turn into a business? Are there certain skills that you can use on the weekend or after hours to earn some extra money, such as data entry, proofreading, translation, coaching? Gosh, I've spoken to people who do piano lessons on the weekends with kids, people who walk dogs, people who groom dogs, people who make human-sized Jenga sets that get rented out to events. Are there items that we can sell? I'm a minimalist, and this weekend I'm still in the thick of Manifesting March, and I actually went through my wardrobe and found about 10 items of clothing that don't work for me anymore that I'm actually going to sell over the weekend. Look at your home. Look at things around you. What are the things you just are unloved, unused that you can get rid of, that you can put towards achieving your Mindful Money number or clearing the path? Set mini goals for yourself. This is why we really want to share with you. So as I said, my $1,000 project is about setting mini, manageable, achievable goals. So for example, you might say to yourself, okay, well, I have $8,000 in credit card debt, and by the end of the month, and don't say the end of the month, actually my mistake, you need to say by the 15th of April 2021, my credit card debt goal is to be down from $8,000 to $7,000. See how we've set a goal of just having $1,000 paid off within the next 28 days or whatever it might be until you've achieved that goal, instead of just focusing on the big frightening goal of having $8,000 in credit card debt. Never set a goal in 2 months' time, because what you're actually doing is telling your brain subconsciously to achieve that goal in 2 months' time. So we'll be at the 15th of April and that goal will still be the same. You wouldn't really have achieved much of it, and you're still thinking, oh no, it's fine, I've got 2 months ahead of me to achieve it. No. It has to be a deadline written in the sand so that you feel accountable and you realize the clock is ticking. Every day that goes past is less and less time to achieve that goal. So you want to get on it quickly, and it will make you pull your finger out and actually start doing extra things to make sure that you achieve that goal by the 15th of April 2021. Of course, you review every single goal on a regular basis. This might be initially daily, it might be weekly, it might be fortnightly, but at the very least, it should be monthly. look at what you are doing. What is actually really helping and making a difference? What is not really actually working and making a difference? And look to tweak and change that. Track and monitor your progress. Look at where you are. And this is something you might even want to do in an Excel spreadsheet and say, okay, this is the date. This is how much I have in credit card debt or student debt. This is how much I've got in savings. This is how much I've got in investments. This is how much I've got in passive income. Always look at what your passive income is, because that's what defines your financial freedom. Track and monitor this progress. Always look, how can I improve this? How can I get better? How can I look at making this strategy more efficient so I get to my goals sooner and with less resources? It is incredibly important that you do this, because this is what makes you feel focused and inspired and determined to achieve that goal. All right, so let me share with you what some of my financial goals are. So Tom and I, as you guys know, we have a new home and we have a new mortgage. We want to make sure that our mortgage is paid off and this is an ambitious goal, but we want our goal paid off in 10 years or less. We also have a mindful money number. Now, you need to understand your goals, and this is why it's so important to track and monitor it, is because your life will change. You'll go through different cycles, different parts of life. Things will change, things will grow, things will go backwards. That's perfectly normal. But when I was a single mother, my mindful money number was $80,000 a year. I wanted to build up a passive income of $80,000 a year because it gave me the lifestyle I wanted, and I could afford to go on a holiday still and have financial freedom. Then, of course, I met Tom and things changed. We have a daughter and another baby on the way. So our mindful money number has actually changed, and I realized I wanted to include more travel in our future together. So our mindful money number is actually $200,000 a year. Now, of course, we need to be very careful of inflation. We need to make sure we factor in income tax for both of us on that mindful number. Again, this is something that a lot of financial influencers who aren't qualified and don't know what they don't know don't factor in. So be very, very careful when you're looking at a lot of FIRE stuff on social media. Now, what I also recommend you do, and I don't do this as much because I've done this so much in the past. To me, it's actually imprinted and embedded in my mind, so I don't feel I need to do it all the time. But when I'm feeling flat or unmotivated, I certainly do. And that is I write down the feelings and values that come from my mindful money number. So if I'm feeling, unmotivated or I'm lacking, purpose and direction, I will spend some time just journaling. What is my number all about again? Reminding myself, that's right. It's going to allow me to sleep in. It's going to allow me to be able to drop my kids off at school and then go and take myself for a swim or a massage or go to a Pilates class and not feel guilty about it. I remind myself of the feeling that's going to be like when I can call up a charity and say, hi, I've got a donation here for you today. I remind myself about, being able to go away on a romantic weekend away, just Tom and I together, something quite luxurious or exciting together for us to do. I remind myself of the value of time back in my life. And very quickly, that gives me the kick up the butt to come back to my goals, come back to where I'm up to, what I'm doing, and refocus, re-energize, even recalibrate to a certain degree, and get back on building my mindful money number. Reminds me it's time, it's choice, it's flexibility, it's energy, it's adventure, it's experience. These are all the benefits and the value of time gives me, and I link it back to that very meaningful, exciting number for me, which is $200,000 a year. All right, so to recap on all of this, because I'm aware of there's a lot of information in here. Number one is to spend time exploring your values. Work out what's important to you. Number two is to build your mindful money number. What is that big goal for you? What is really important? Next step, number three, and that is to clear the path. Get rid of all the blocks in your way that are going to stop you or hold you back in achieving your goal quickly and efficiently. The next step is to review your progress regularly. As I said, jump on the Sugar Mama website, put everything in, see where you're tracking, see what you've got in your situation right now that can help you achieve your goal so much smoother, so much more efficiently. And always look to try and improve that. What can you save more? What can you invest more? What can you do to earn extra money? Never let your future be limited or defined by what you earn between 9 to 5. There are other things you can do to bring more money in your life. Think outside the square. Then, of course, as I said, when you're checking and reviewing this, always keep a very close eye on inflation, the cost of living, that $200,000 that is our mindful money number today is not going to be $200,000 in 10 years' time. We need to make sure we factor in inflation. And just as a guide, inflation is typically around 2.5% to 3% per year. So you want to keep an eye on that, because if you don't, and say, for example, I just focus purely on $200,000 a year, that $200,000 a year is not going to give me the same lifestyle and freedom than what I thought it originally would be. I need to make sure that my mindful money number keeps up with inflation. And of course, finally, communicate. Check in, see where you're going. Only the weekend I looked at what we've built up so far, superannuation, how much Tom and I each have in super, what we each have in our individual investment portfolios, what properties we own, how we're tracking. And I looked at what the total passive income number is that we've built so far. And I pegged it as a percentage against our mindful money number of $200,000 a year. And whilst we've still got a lot of work ahead of us, it made me realize, wow, we're actually doing okay. And I even said to Tom when I showed him the numbers and he had a good look at it with me, we sort of said, well, maybe we need to make this number a bit more. Maybe we can afford to make this a bit more. Maybe we've got the time now, because we've been on top of this and working on it and making good progress. We can dare to dream bigger or stretch further. So we actually agreed, okay, for the timing, let's stick to the $200,000 figure, because that's a good figure to have. But as we get closer and closer, we can reconsider increasing it if we want to. The bigger your number is, obviously, the longer it may take to achieve that goal, which is why I just want to keep it at $200,000 for the time being. But you start realizing, okay, progress equals success. And the more progress we have, the more sensation of motivation and commitment to keep going. The universe is really quite a magical place. When you're really connected and committed to working on a goal, I feel like the universe, yes, sometimes it throws crap our way, but it also gives us some lucky breaks, some windfalls, some opportunities. And when you come from a place of abundance and manifestation, if you like, to a certain degree, and be open to the flow of money, things happen. You get opportunities, you get ideas, you get additional sources of inspiration that would come out from the place that you least expected, and you work towards that goal. As I wrap up this podcast, invest some time in your value system. Work out what makes you tick, what makes your heart sing, what makes beautiful music for you. Work on a mindful money number. Forget about the lump sum net worth, gross worth figure. You'll run out of money. Work on a passive income. Link that passive income to your value system so that you want to get out of bed and give this goal the best chance of actually happening. Work backwards. Look at what you've got so far. Look at what you can add towards your investment strategy of building your passive income. Factor in your retirement. Factor in your retirement assets such as superannuation or your KiwiSaver or your 401k plan, because that all adds to and builds towards your important foundation. That foundation of wealth, just like it's going to be a very solid concrete foundation of that house that survives all the different types of storms that may come its way, so that you never need to worry about financial damage in your life. Any damage that does happen, I said, is quickly and easily fixed and is not really that much of a damage in the first place at all. Feel free to communicate your goals with other people. There is an amazing debt-free fire community out there on social media. You just need to use all the relevant hashtags. Of course, feel free to tag at Sugar Mama and I'll share your goals with other people, because when I myself turn to the debt-free and fire community, I feel incredibly inspired and motivated to keep going on our mindful money number. I feel comfortable and almost liberated to say no to spending money as much, because I know I can put more towards our investment plan and our wealth creation strategy and building our mindful money number. Be open to the flow of money. Be open to, as I said, new sources of inspiration and motivation. Make sure you jump on my website, use these calculators. And of course, that success is not just about money, but it's about the 5 pillars, or what I believe is the 5 pillars of overall happiness and well-being. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you feel so much better about setting the right type of financial goals for yourself. You feel like you've got new goals now, different goals, better goals. You want to give them the best chance of happening. And remember, as I said, I fall short of my goals sometimes, but I never really feel like a failure because I know I gave each goal a really good go. And it gives me a really good insight and valuable information to make sure that I set the next goal differently, better. Maybe I don't need to be as aggressive. Maybe I could tone it down and be a bit more kinder to myself. Or maybe I'm actually being lazy and holding myself back from what I really could achieve. But always look to grow and evolve. When we are growing, that is when we are alive. And that is something we should be grateful for. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to Sugar Mama's Fireplay podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, please take a split second to give me a rating and a review. And just like every dollar counts towards your financial strategy, every rating and review counts towards my growth as a content provider who creates free content for everyone in my own free time so that you can enjoy it in your time, free, of course. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have a fantastic week ahead.